What's up, you guys? James Strickland here. Welcome to week 5 on my road to 700 pounds. So this week is a week after last week's deload. So typically after a deload, or a reload is another way to call it, is not too heavy, just because when you take a week off, it can go one of two ways. One is you have a lot of energy and your strength is a lot better. The other thing is you have a lot of energy and your strength isn't quite there just because you haven't handled super heavy weight in a while. It really just depends on kind of the day. It can change per person and it can change per week. Today I've actually got 480 for a set of 8 and 2 sets of that. This was my last warm-up. That was 500. So I just wanted to feel what it felt like. Sometimes makes the reps go a little easier when you handle heavier weight. That kind of is a way that I use to prime my CNS for some reps, obviously that are lighter than whatever that last warm-up was. It's not always advisable. Sometimes it would be too heavy, depending on what your rep scheme is. You know, if the day is calling for 600 for 2 reps, it doesn't necessarily mean I'd want to go like 630 and then go 600, because that's definitely a lot of weight to handle. But first set here. Didn't pause that first one quite as much as I would like, but sometimes I have to adjust mid-set. Starting to feel a little bit lactic acid there. I went ahead and shut it down on 7. I don't like to go to failure. As you guys will see, this is a side view of that same set. I don't like to go to failure in training very much, just because it opens yourself up to some injuries. I have been very, very lucky and very, very smart in my training to not go to failure unless it's absolutely necessary, or it just sometimes happens on accident. If I just thought I could get that extra last rep and just maybe midway up, it just doesn't happen. But you'll see me bail maybe 3, maybe 4 times this whole training cycle. Hopefully none, but I'm sure it'll happen just because sometimes you anticipate a set. I don't have a spotter in these racks, not that it's unsafe, because I obviously have the squat racks and the safety pins set up, but I don't have somebody to help me on that last rep, which I really don't want, honestly. It's a false sense of security in my mind, because they're going to help too much, and sometimes you can't really tell them mid-set not to do it. So this is my second set. Went a little bit different strategy on this one. Held it at the top just a little bit. It's kind of a mixed results. Sometimes if I go through the set real fast, I can kind of beat that lactic acid wave that typically comes through. Sometimes I end up spending too much energy. But that was a set of 6. So the day called for 8 reps. I got 7 and 6. I'm not 100% satisfied with that, but I'm not disappointed either. This is definitely a PR, not for the reps necessarily, but for this time in training last year. I was at 470 for a set of 8. So being at 480 for a couple reps here and there, more. I'm handling more weight. I can adjust as we go forward and feel fine. Moving on here, I've got dips with 160. These are starting to feel really, really good. You've seen the last couple weeks where a lot less weight, and had to bail on it a couple times. It was mostly due to the high reps. This is a set of 8 for 2 sets. So sets of 8 I can typically hold on to pretty good, and the lactic acid doesn't build up too much. If I was to go 6 more reps of this, I would start getting pretty lightheaded, that's for sure. But to kind of touch on what I was talking about earlier, before you assume that taking a week off will give you extra strength or extra energy. Energy for most part, yes. But like before a meet is a different scenario, because I've got a lot of fatigue built up from the 12, 13, 14, or 15, or 20 weeks prior to training for that particular meet. When I take off 2 weeks and don't really hit bench, or at least 7 days, that gives my body a chance to really, really recover and recuperate big time. And so you see the difference on the platform. And so I can gain 20, 30 pounds easy on a deload from a meet. when I'm deloading from just a normal training week, especially this early on, I haven't built up a lot of fatigue. So you're not going to see as bigger results. In fact, you might not even see any results in strength from the deload. You might just get that extra energy. So it is a case-by-case basis per lifter and per training cycle. It can just vary what's, your stress in your life, what's going on, the weight that you're handling, a bunch of different factors. So this early on in a training cycle, I don't judge or base my performance on a daily basis and think that that's going to affect the total outcome of my training cycle, because it won't. It just won't. I can miss 3 or 4 lifts here and there. I can miss a training day here and there, and it will not affect 20 weeks from now. It just doesn't. So I've got a set of close grip decline press here. This is 425, and I've got a couple spotters here because there's no way to protect myself if I was to lose it somehow. So I just have them just kind of keeping an eye on it. This is a set of 6. And these felt extremely easy. I'm sure these will be in the 500s very, very soon. That's typically what happens to these close grip declines. My decline is just phenomenally strong. Of course, it should be, because typically decline you have a little bit better leverage. You're in a different angle, and obviously close grip is a specialty of mine. The one thing is I haven't handled this kind of weight, or any weight really, in a while on decline, so I was a little bit out of the groove. You can see me kind of shaking there. It's just because those muscles in this particular fashion have not been activated for quite some time, actually, about a year ago. So as we start getting used to those, you'll see that weight really, really jump up. We'll probably go up 20 pounds next week. All right, so I've got some a different kind of lat pull down here. This is a crucifix lat pull down, and it's really just working on isolation. So I've got hitting each lat kind of separately to work on any kind of weak imbalances. This is good if you have one side that typically maybe fires off a little quicker or a little slower, even size differences. If you're going for aesthetics, this is a good way to isolate, because you're on 2 different cable systems, and you have to pull equally, and you'll notice real quick which one tends to be a little stronger than the others. But I've got, let's see, 110 pounds in each, on each cable, so 110 pounds in each one. Just showing you a back shot here, just to see the squeeze, basically getting a good scapular squeeze there. This is 4 sets of 12. I'm just showing 2 sets here for the sake of time. But overall, with the training explanation I was giving earlier, as long as progress is made, even if it's just little, even if it's not every single week, even if it's just I'm going up 5 pounds every 2 weeks, that's 5 pounds more in a 14-day period than I was before, and especially last year. So it's setting yourself up for success for sure. So I've got some overhead tricep rope here. It's 130 pounds. It's a different way to hit it. The set calls for 12 sets of 6. I had to kind of get out about this time of the training. I had some obligations outside the gym. So I went ahead and did 3 sets of 20, just because the weight was pretty light, and I needed to get out of here. I didn't have time to wait in between each set. And so I did 3 sets of 20 and then a set of 12 to make up the 72 reps that I needed to do for the day. But triceps obviously feeling really good. You can see they get a really good pump from all this. This is just one of many things to hit the triceps. Body weight is sitting about 285 to 290 on any given morning. Sometimes it'll drop, through the weekend, believe it or not, even though I'm eating quite a bit. But feeling pretty healthy. So last thing is some flies, and I'm holding it for basically a one second or so contraction. And this is a 12 rep max. So I did 40 pounds for the first set, 50 pounds for the second set, and went ahead and stopped on the with 60s on the third set. Probably could have gone up to about 70s, but like I said, I was a little crunched for time, so I went ahead and just stopped at 60, and that's a good basis. Got a really good stretch in there. I feel like the pecs were worked pretty well, and we'll kind of up that next week. But I've actually going to be I'm going to be showing you guys from this week forward my second upper body day, which typically consists of shoulders and some more accessories. Sometimes I will put some dumbbell bench in there, but it's typically a lot lighter. So I'll go ahead and start showing you guys that, and that will be from now until meet day. And so I start off the day with some one-arm cable lateral raises, and basically really working on that delt. And this will fire it up big time. This is 60 pounds. Started off with about 45 a couple weeks ago and went through 50s, and actually those 50s burned quite a bit, but I've been working on those for a couple weeks, and now we're up to 60s, and this is 12 reps, and this feels really, really good. Looking at this from hindsight, you know, no pun intended, we're looking here at the back, I need to get a little bit less swing with the body because I don't want to get any momentum. I really want to isolate that delt, but I'll work on that next week. So that was 3 sets of that, and then moving on to some pretty light dumbbell bench for me. This is the hundreds, 15 quick reps, and I've got 2 sets of this. So just to make it a little more difficult, put legs up just so I can work on a little stabilization. There's no need to work on leg drive there. Plus, when I do have my leg drive, my back and my core and my shoulders will be a lot more stable because they're not relying on my legs for that stability. Moving on to some, I believe this next one is going to be some straight arm, fully extended dumbbell pullovers. I've got 3 sets of 15 with a 45-pound dumbbell. This is a great stretch. It's a little bit of a muscular workout, but mostly it's just to get those pecs stretched out. This is very good for injury prevention. You want to get a good stretch at the top here, get as low as you can down towards the ground. Get as far back as you can, and it's really not a difficult exercise at all, and you don't want to go super heavy. I mean, I could easily do 125 pounds on this, but I've got 45-pound dumbbell. We're not going to go up too much in weight. I just need enough weight to hold my arms back and to really get a good stretch. And stretch is the key word, not contraction. Stretch in the pecs, and these really open up, and any kind of tweaks that you might be kind of feeling, these will help stretch that out. And I've used them last training cycle, using them this training cycle. They're really good for preventative maintenance on those pecs. All right, so I've got some calves press on the Smith machine. This is 225 pounds. I've got 3 sets here, 12, 12, and a max set. And on my max set, I got 23 reps. The focus here is not to press the weight. It is literally to keep it in the triceps. So you want to keep it out of your pecs. You don't want those contracting at all. You want to keep it right in the tricep, and the close grip is a really good way to do that. Keep those elbows as close as you can. And that's about it for those. That's another way I hit those triceps. And adding in some hammer strength rows. This is a low row. Just really keeping the back still, getting a good contraction. I've got 3 plates on here, just as a kind of a get used to it set, and then kind of going for a max set on a set of 12. So I ended up with, this is 435. It's actually pretty light. I think I could go probably 5 plates, but I'm not ready to hump that heavy forward and kind of get used to the weight. This is not on my day 2, but I wanted to throw this in there because I do a lot of these rows, and this is actually on my deadlift day. And it's basically you bend over row with 315, 4 sets of 5. Really good way to get some more rows in. And ending the day, this is on the last day. It's crucifix bicep curls with the cable. This is just a way to hit those biceps and take care of those. And there's not much else you need to do for them. But that is it. That's a wrap for week 5. Appreciate you tuning in. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram @SwimHack, and I will see you guys next week, week 6. See ya.